Okay, hi, this is Portia, and I am checking in because I am officially at 2 weeks post surgery. If you haven't seen my previous video, it goes over my first week of recovery following a laparoscopic assisted vaginal hysterectomy, LAVH. So I've written down a few notes this time because I couldn't possibly remember everything I wanted to address, but I'm going to try to do this quickly. And my goal in doing this is to give people who are curious about this process or are preparing to undergo it or have undergone it a bit more insight into what the recovery process is like. So the first thing that I want to talk about is how do I feel right now? I feel good. Good is a interesting word worth unpacking for someone who's undergoing recovery because roughly 5 minutes ago I was actually in a lot of pain. And the pain that I'm experiencing these days is basically my digestive system. I can still really feel it moving around. And so sometimes it's pretty difficult. And I had this thought of what would this have been like if I was out in public, just, trying to mind my business and resume my daily life. It just would have been hard to mask the pain. So moments like that are humbling, and I realize why I'm taking it easy and why, for the most part, I'm staying close to home. Good news is I had the beginning of a mild infection when I checked in last week, and that is now completely cleared. Um, I feel like I have improved mental focus. I actually have a desire to read a bit more, which is really nice. I feel like my brain is coming back. That being said, I do still get brain fog. It's hard to expect yourself to be completely on top of things after surgery. So I try to write things down and keep lists, and I try to focus on tasks that are really important instead of overwhelming myself. Some days I feel like I have energy and I can walk. I will take breaks, but I honestly have been impressed with how far I've been able to walk sometimes. Other days, my body's like, nope, we're going to rest. And that's where I've been at these past 2 days. So I will definitely make sure I get outside. That's my goal, but I'm not going to put a lot of expectations around how far I walk. I think the point is just to stay mobile. Another cool thing that happened this week was that I cooked. Yes, I cooked. My husband teased me. He said I cooked more than I usually do when I'm well. I actually uh, have been having higher blood pressure than I would like, starting with the month leading up to the surgery. And when I went in last week for the infection, it was the highest I've ever seen. Keep in mind, it's probably not what you would consider high blood pressure, but it's high for me. And given my family's background, I really want to make sure that I don't mess this up. So I have decided to decrease the amount of meat in my diet and taking steps to do that. So I was cooking some foods that I could have on hand to eat. And like I said, I sat down, I took a lot of breaks, but I'm really happy with what the results were because I've been able to eat delicious food while improving my diet. Um, as I mentioned before, there's been some pain, some cramping that's to be expected during the recovery process. And I just try to kind of sit with myself in the pain, listen to myself, love on myself, take care of myself, help it to pass. For the most part, I do not take pain medication at this point. I did for a while last week while the infection was being treated, and I was able to just use ibuprofen, which is really good. If I felt the need for stronger pain meds, I would, but to be honest, I didn't like how I felt on the opioids. I felt completely laid out, like there was a truck sitting on top of me. So, for the most part, I do not use pain medication at this point. That's not a point of comparison for anybody else who's going through this procedure. It is simply my own experience. What are some of my struggles? I really want to be able to bend and lift and do normal tasks, and it's a challenge, you know. I think if you have to bend, it suggests that you bend at the knees, but that's really not easy to do when you spent your whole lifetime bending the way that you're accustomed to. So I try not to bend. I also struggle with not having consistent energy. It doesn't make sense to me that one day I feel like I can get out and walk and do a lot, and the next day or even later that day, I feel wiped out. So I'm trying to be conservative about that, but I really do look forward to having more consistent energy. for right now, I'm kind of staying within a 5 mile radius of the house and making sure that I don't stay out for more than 2 hours. So it gives me a little bit of bandwidth to get out and see things, but doesn't get me in a situation where I feel uncomfortable because I am realizing the energy that goes out of me when I'm in public isn't just about walking, it's interacting with other people, it's being patient, it's waiting for things, and I just need to ease myself back into that. So, what are some of the things that have been different for me in this process? Um, I expected that at this time I would really be wading through my emotions of how it feels to be a woman with a hysterectomy. And I'm not. It might be because I spent a lot of time thinking about this before the surgery, and it might be because I'm going to explore it down the road. I'm open to either possibility, but to be honest, at this moment, all I have is a, well, that settles it kind of feeling. Sometimes people, being well-meaning, ask you about your plans to have children and try to tell you what they think you should do, and it's like, yeah, guys, it's not gonna happen. So having the hysterectomy is just a very, final way of saying that's that. So I guess I feel a little relief right now. I'm happy because I thought what I would be feeling at this time was, honestly, I felt like I would feel like less of a woman because in a pronatal society where we have so much of a focus on women reproducing, bearing children, you begin to feel like the uterus is associated with womanhood. And I remember feeling really uncomfortable with my cramping in the first couple of days after the surgery because I had all this painful cramping in an area where it was just a reminder that it wasn't there. And now I am happy because I'm surrounded by all of these different things that just remind me of my womanhood. And I feel like more of a woman than ever because I realize that my story is a part of reproductive health and I'm a part of what women go through. So that's been cool. But like I said, if and when those emotions arise, I'm going to be here for myself with that. I will get help, therapy, however I need to deal with that. I'm a big believer in therapy, even when you're not going through things. So, but that's different than I expected. The next thing is it's not easy waiting to see whether or not the surgery worked. There's some things that I won't know until I have a cycle, until months later. And I'm really just trying to be optimistic because what's the point of not being optimistic? I don't want to be pessimistic. I don't want to worry about what could happen. I just want to be honest with myself and say, yeah, we're still waiting to see, but we're hopeful that the pain will have decreased. So, what is helping me? Staying occupied doesn't need to mean that I'm working, although I do a little bit. I have to teach in the fall, so I've got to start learning the courses I'll be teaching. But it also might mean watching stuff on TV, hanging out with my husband, reading a book, working on my upcoming TED Talk. There's a lot to keep me occupied, and sometimes that just really helps to not be sitting here staring at a wall. Having downtime, each day I try to think about what tasks do I need to get done that's really going to help that day feel successful, and then everything else is a secondary task. If it gets completed, great. If not, fine. And I try to focus on things that don't take a lot of energy, like reading. Knowing that I'm going to read this content again before the fall, I don't feel a lot of expectation that I remember it all, so that makes it an easier activity to do. But really holding off from other work tasks. Typically over the summer, even when we're off, we're expected to, I guess I won't say we're expected to, but I usually expect myself to be reasonably responsive to my students' requests for references and letters of recommendation. And this summer, that's not fair to me. So I've set up my out of office. It's going to stay up for a while. I love my students dearly, but I really have to love me right now. Let's see. Meditation is helping so much. I am still using Insight Timer to do meditation in the morning when I first wake up. If I get frustrated during the day, I use it to reset or to help me deal with stress. And I also do a meditation before going to bed. I use all different types of meditations, and really, I think I got sold on finally doing it. Not just because I've been hearing about it for years and I've been through mindfulness-based stress reduction training and mindful self-compassion and all these other things, but the fork in the road for me was, how are you going to proactively deal with this high blood pressure? And I have read in the literature that meditation can help with that. So I'm like, yeah, I kind of need to do this more anyhow, but now I really want to do it. So it's pretty cool. I love guided meditations. That's what I stick to. Lastly, self compassion, just reminding myself each day my journey is to love me where I am, to hold me where I am. If I'm in pain, to be with me in that. So that helps a lot. What am I excited about? I'm excited that I am hopefully out of the window of being at risk for a blood clot related to my surgery. Why is it such a big concern? Because I had a blood clot in the past. So we have to be very proactive going into surgery. There's a lot of things that we did in the days following just to decrease my risk. And since I've been home, I've actually been giving myself injections daily in the stomach area. So very excited to stop those injections. And let's see, what do I have hope about? Well, since today marks my 2 weeks since surgery, this was the day that I was holding off to start driving. And honestly, I don't feel ready. I just want another day or two to continue to rest. I'm feeling a little tired right now, so I'm hopeful that I will soon start driving. And my thought is to keep things, like I said, within a 5 mile radius so that I feel capable of getting myself home. I also want to make sure that I'm ready to turn. You don't think about whipping your neck when someone, is, I don't know, there's a lot of driving situations you have to make sudden movements, and I want to make sure that my abdominal area, everything is straight with sudden movements. So I don't mind giving that a bit more time. Um, the lingering question again is, did the surgery work? Did it make my pain better? And I will see soon. I still expect to feel some changes in my body related to my cycle each month. The big difference is that I will not be bleeding. Some spotting is normal after this procedure, but that should be the biggest difference. So I'm waiting to see, and I'm very hopeful. I think that's just about everything I wanted to share in this update. I purposely am sitting here without any makeup on. I just feel free to just kind of relax and be me. I want to take time, I want to heal. I don't want to force a lot of structure onto myself. So if I say that I have a good day, it might mean that this moment is good. It might mean that most of the moments today were good. It might mean that I'm being optimistic. But there's definitely another side to this where, yes, I do experience pain. Yes, I do get some pity. Yes, I do get some depression. And I try to combat that by getting outside, by staying connected, and doing videos like this helps with that. And just keeping perspective that life goes on, and this is one thing. It's an important thing and it matters to me, but it's not all that's happening in life. So I think keeping my focus on that helps a lot. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best wherever you are in your journey.